JTA in Hibernate. Now we are focusing on JTA, the Jakarta transactions. JTA, formerly Java Transaction API, one of the Jakarta EE APIs, enables distributed transactions to be done across multiple open XA resources in a Java environment. JTA was a specification developed on the Java community process as JSR 907. JTA provides for demarcation of transactions boundaries, open XA API allowing resources to participate in transactions. Here you can see distributed transactions and the transaction manager. A distributed transaction is a transaction that accesses and updates data on two or more networked resources. These resources could consist of several different RDBMS housed on a single server, for example Oracle, SQL Server, and Sybase, or they could include several instances of a single type of database residing on a number of different servers. In any case, a distributed transaction involves coordination among the various resource managers. This coordination is the function of the transaction manager. The transaction manager is responsible for making the final decision either to commit or roll back any distributed transaction. A commit decision should lead to a successful transaction. Rollback leaves the data in the database unaltered. JTA specifies standard Java interface between the transaction manager and the other components in the distributed transaction: the application server, and the resource managers. This relationship is illustrated in this diagram. The numbered boxes around the transaction manager correspond to the three interface portions of JTA. 1. User transaction. The javax.transaction.userTransaction interface provides the application the ability to control transaction boundaries programmatically. The javax.transaction.userTransaction method starts a global transaction and associate the transaction with the calling thread. The 2. Transaction manager. The javax.transaction.transaction manager interface allows the application server to control transaction boundaries on behalf of the application being managed. Number 3. XA resource. The java.transaction.xa resource interface is a Java mapping of the industry standard XA interface based on the open CAE specification, distributed transaction processing, the Java XA specification. Notice that the critical link is support of the XA resource interface by the JDBC driver. The JDBC driver must support both normal JDBC interactions through the application or the application server, as well as the XA resource portion of JTA. Data Direct Connect for JDBC drivers provide the support. Developers of code at the application level should not be concerned about the details of distribution transaction management. This is the job of the distributed transaction infrastructure, the application server, the transaction manager, and the JDBC driver. The only caveat for application code is that it should not invoke method that would affect boundaries of the transaction while the connection is the scope of distributed transaction. Specifically, an application should not call the connection methods commit rollback and set auto commit true because they would interfere with the infrastructure's management of the distributed transaction. Here you can see in JTA Java application is here, then application service here below, JDBC driver manager is there, and below that JDBC driver, and is connect and JTA connected to the database here. And the Java application is connected to transaction manager and JTA here. The one is user transaction, and 2 is transaction manager, and 3 is XA resource. We can consider this one as an example, JBoss transaction. The segment is in persistent.xml file. Here you can see a name attribute. Every entity manager must have a name, and transaction type attribute. Transaction type used either JTA or resource underscore local, default to JTA in an EE environment, and to resource underscore local in a Java SE environment. When this is when JTA dash data source is used, the default is JTA. If none dash JTA dash data source is used, resource underscore local is used. JTA and dash data dash source or none dash JTA dash data dash source. This is the JNDI name of where the javax.sql data source is located. If you use the SQL when running without a JNDI available data source, you must specify JDBC connection with Hibernate specific properties. Properties. The properties element is used to specify vendor specific properties. This is where you will define your Hibernate specific configurations. This is also where you will have to specify JDBC connection information as well. As an example too, we can consider this one. Here, name attribute, every entity manager must have a name. Transaction type attribute, transaction type used either JTA or resource underscore local, default to JTA in a Java EE environment, and to resource underscore local in a Java SE environment. When a JTA dash data source is used, the default is JTA. If none dash JTA dash data source is used, resource underscore local is used. And concurrency control. Hibernate provide many implementation of the JTA platform contract with short names. Here, for example, Boland, JTA platform for the Boland enterprise server. Now we are considering JTA platform in standard service registry, in types of service registries, in services and registries in Hibernate ORM 6.2 integration guide. JTA platform, when using a JTA based transaction coordinate builder, the org.hibernate.engine.transaction JTA.platform SPI.JTA platform service provides Hibernate access to the JTA transaction manager and transaction, as well handling synchronization registration. The interface JTA platform, which is in package org.hibernate.engine.transaction.jta.platform.spi, a service that defines how Hibernate interact with JTA on a certain platform. In particular, a JTA platform allows Hibernate to obtain the transaction manager and use a transaction and register synchronizations. Except as an exception example, you can consider JTA platform inaccessible exception. Indicates problems accessing transaction manager or user transaction through the JTA platform. This exception is in this class is in org.hibernate.resource.transaction.backend.jta.internal package. As an error example, we can consider could not register synchronization with JTA transaction manager here. Now this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for watching it.